Chapter 86. Be slandered. The person beside her said, "That's right. Looking at her usually kind and obedient appearance, I thought she was very clean. After messing around for half a day, she's the young lover of Tom." Laura's eyebrows creased. Tom's lover? She sat down and focused on her own business. A temporary worker from the same group came over and whispered, "Laura, do you know what they are looking at?" "Ingenious." She shook her head. "I don't know." On the company's forum today, someone passed on a few photos of Tom and his lover going into and out of hotels and restaurants. That face was very clear. "Do you know who the lover is?" Laura was puzzled and did not say a word. Her colleague said with an exaggerated look on her face, "Sigh, I knew you wouldn't be able to guess it. Let me tell you, it's Amy." "How was this known?" Her colleague said, "Now that the truth has been revealed, I dare to tell you in secret. Previously, the people in the office all suspected that it was you. Now that we think about it, it is indeed very suspicious. Previously, when you were messing with Annie, Amy also was there. At that time, Tom's attitude towards Amy was better than his attitude towards you, no? Oh God, it makes me angry." Laura scratching her forehead, she smiled. "Let's not discuss this anymore. After all, it's someone else's private matter, so it has nothing to do with us." When her colleague saw her relaxed appearance, she could not help but feel embarrassed for a moment. "Shh, that's true. We were crying out injustice for you. After all, you have been carrying the blame for almost a month, and even got messed up by Annie. You're unlucky enough." Shrugging her shoulders, she did not speak. Seeing that she didn't want to talk about it, her colleague could only bitterly leave. When Zoe was on the way back from working with the others, someone called her and told her about it. As soon as she entered the office, she saw that there was a huge commotion in the office, and said to everyone, all right, stop talking, it's your afternoon rest, continue working, don't make the office look like a marketplace. When Tom comes back later, he might lose his temper." At her words, everyone scattered. When she went to work, Amy came back with red eyes. There was anger in her eyes as she passed Laura Green's desk. However, Laura didn't notice that. After she returned to her seat, some people around her started to whisper to each other. Amy bit her lips, her face was full of anger and resentment. She took out her phone and opened the company's forums, uploading a few photos. In the afternoon, the company was shocked by another piece of material. Someone secretly reported something to Zoe, and Zoe immediately opened up the forum and saw the picture of Laura Green and the CEO of Anderson's group being secretly taken while they were eating together. Although it was just her back, because of her slender, tall body, she was still able to be recognized at a glance. If she could recognize her, others could as well. She was very surprised. What happened? Why was she mixed in with the CEO of Anderson's group? With lingering fear in her heart, she looked at the document. This matter. Should I report this to Mr. Walton or not? The person who posted the photo had already pointed out the subject and name of the person in the photo. This matter could not be concealed, even if she wanted to. Thinking for a moment, she stood up, walked out of the office, and secretly made the call. Upstairs, Daniel knocked on the door and entered William Walton's office. "Mr. Walton, someone posted a thread on the company's discussion board, saying that Miss Green is the lover of the successor of Anderson's group, Nick Anderson. It even included a picture of her leaving the restaurant while laughing and chatting with Nick Anderson." William Walton frowned. He hated people who associated Laura with Nick Anderson the most. It was annoying. He coldly asked, "Who posted it?" "I'm not sure. It was released anonymously. Notify the technology department to find the person who posted the post and also delete the post on the forum for me." "Yes, I'll do it right away." After she finished working on it, she raised her head and stretched her neck. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a lot of people looking at her, and she wondered what was going on. Separated by a few desks, she saw that someone was sitting on a computer with a photo open. She frowned slightly at the picture. She quickly opened the company's forum with her phone and saw the post that had been clicked on hundreds of times. She frowned and looked at Amy, who was not far away from her. The two of them looked at each other, sparks flying in all directions. She didn't expect this woman to be so despicable. Because her matter was leaked, she would discredit her, right? Zoe returned from outside at this time. She walked up behind her and was about to tell her about it when she saw her looking at her cell phone. Seeing this, she patted her shoulder. "Laura, come out with me." Laura got up and followed her out. When the two of them reached the empty corridor, Zoe said, "You also saw the thread just now. This matter will probably affect you." She nodded. "I know. I wonder who was so unscrupulous to target a temporary worker like you. I am bored. I have already reported this to Mr. Walton and the post will be deleted very soon. Don't mind it too much." She took a deep breath and said, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what others say. My temporary work period is about to end anyway." She forced herself to laugh. "Director, let's go back. If not, others would start to talk about you because of me." "I don't care, but I don't want to disturb you." With that, she pursed her lips into a smile and returned to her office. Just as he was about to get off work, the HR manager personally came downstairs. The moment he entered the training department, he asked, "Who is Amy?" Amy's heart tensed up a bit as she stood up. "I am." The manager stepped forward and said, Pack your stuff and get your salary from the finance department before getting off work. From tomorrow onwards, you don't have to come back to work at the company. Your temporary work period will end today. Hearing that, Amy's face became somewhat pale. Why? We found out that you maliciously spread the post on the forum this afternoon, slandering others, because you're not an official employee and you don't need to sign the papers. We only came to inform you. She was unwilling to accept this. But I'm also a victim. I've also been slandered in the forums. This afternoon, we had already called Tom over to the Human Resources Department to verify that the matter between you and Tom was true, so it can't be considered as you being slandered. What about Laura? I saw her with Nick Anderson with my own eyes. That's true. Because we have verified that Laura and Mr. Anderson are close friends and not lovers. How did you check? Why is it valid just because you verified it? The HR manager said coldly. This matter was personally verified by Mr. Walton. Do you have any objections? Chapter 87. Don't lie with your eyes open. Hearing his words, Amy turned to look at Zoe. No wonder Zoe had left for such a long time just now. She helped Laura. They all interns. Why was she so lucky to have Zoe protecting her? She wasn't convinced. Seeing that she did not say anything, the HR manager left with his men. Amy fell on the chair, her face pale white. Under the gazes of the crowd, she stiffly packed her things and silently left. Seeing that it was time to get off work, everyone started heading downstairs. Putting away the documents, Laura went downstairs as well. Someone pointed at her as they entered the elevator. She knew clearly in her heart that even if the thread was deleted, with so many people seeing it, the discussion would never stop. She was truly glad that there were just a few more days before the deadline. She went downstairs and walked towards the bus stop. Walking a short distance, she heard a familiar voice calling her from behind. She turned around and saw Amy. Amy walked up and looked at her. Are you happy now? I don't have anything to be happy about, but I don't have anything to be unhappy about either. Laura, you're despicable. You clearly said that you didn't want to stay in the company, but at the last moment, you still revealed my secret to the forum, causing me to have no choice but to leave the company. You didn't even do much good yourself, yet you are harming others behind their back like this. Don't your conscience hurt? Huh? She laughed in a speechless manner. If I tell you right now that I didn't do anything, you probably wouldn't believe me, right? Of course, I wouldn't believe it. Who else in this company knows about my relationship with Tom other than you? Amy said as she lowered her head and tears fell from her eyes. You don't even know what I have to pay for all of this. Do you think I am willing to be a mistress for someone else, and that I am willing to do all these things that would ruin someone's family in the most beautiful time of my life? But I can't help it. My father had cancer, and I desperately needed money to save his life. At that time, there was no other way around it. A sister of mine introduced me to Tom and said that as long as I followed him, he could help me pay for my father's surgery. I was desperate. To save my father, I went to his bed. I thought I would be able to leave him after the surgery, but I didn't expect that my father would have to spend a lot of money every month to save his life. My mother didn't have a job. I had a younger brother who was studying, and I was the only one in my family who could make money. Tom came to find me once more. For the money, I compromised once again. I know Walton Group's salary is very high. As long as I can become an official worker, I can raise my family. Do you know how much I need this stable job? I know about the thing between you and Nick Anderson, but I didn't expose it first because I didn't want to become a worse person. Previously, when I argued with Annie, I knew that I had done the wrong thing, but I had no other choice. I had already reached this step. I had no other way. I had to save my job. I'm scaring you because I'm afraid you'll fight with me for a job, and because I'm in your hands and I'm afraid of you. After all, this was a stain on his life. It could not be washed away. I have no enmity with you, so you... No enmity. Just why are you doing this to me? She looked at her with a hint of sympathy in her eyes. She didn't expect that she would have such a story. Amy's face was covered in tears. She took out a tissue from her bag and handed it to her. Her voice became much softer. Since you don't believe me, then it's useless if I explain it to you. However, this matter wasn't done by me. Nick Anderson is not my lover. He's a very close brother. I don't want to stay in the company, so I won't be bored enough to block your future. No matter what you think of me, I have a clear conscience regarding you. Amy did not take the tissue she handed to her. She only wiped her tears, coldly looked at her, and turned to leave. Standing on the spot tenderly, she felt displeased in her heart. She wasn't the one who did this, but she felt very guilty. After hesitating for a moment, she followed Amy. Amy stopped and looked back at her, her face still streaked with tears. I will go and ask Nick Anderson if there are any jobs in his company that are suitable for you. If there are, I will bring you to his company. Amy was startled. Are you serious? I will try my best to ask. If I don't succeed, I will think of another way for you. You? Why would you help me? Because I don't want to feel guilty. Didn't you just say that you have a clear conscience? I hate your behavior before I know anything about you. After all, as you say, it's shameful to do something that destroys another person's family. Even though I still cannot accept your actions until now, your filial piety has moved me. I once hated you for something that happened before, and I feel very guilty, so I am willing to help you. Amy choked with emotions as she looked at her gratefully. Laura looked at the bus and said, "The bus is coming. I have to go now. I'll call you if there are any updates." After she finished speaking, she circled Amy and left. Amy paused for a moment before saying, "Laura, thank you." She didn't respond, jogging to catch up with the car. She got out of the car and first went to the marketplace behind the residential complex to buy vegetables. When she returned home, William Walton's car was already downstairs. Seeing her return, he got out of the car and helped her carry the bags upstairs. Her cell phone rang while she was eating. Seeing that it was Nick Anderson, she quickly picked up. "Brother." "Laura, I was in a meeting and I just saw your text message. You said you wanted me to do something?" "Yeah, I have a friend who needs a job right now. Can you help her arrange one at your company?" Nick Anderson was puzzled. "Not you, but your friend?" "Yes." "Laura, you have not asked me for a favor. It seems that your friend is extremely important to you. Tell me, is your friend a man or a woman?" "Girl, at the same age as me. She has some problems, and she needs a stable job to earn money. As long as you give her this chance, she'll do her best." "All right, for your sake, I'll agree to this matter. Just let her report to the company tomorrow." A warm feeling rose in her heart, and she happily smiled. "Brother, thank you." "Don't say that." "Then I'll treat you to a meal another day." "All right, then I'll be waiting for my sister's feast." She smiled. "Yes." Hanging up, she put the phone aside. William Walton's face was full of displeasure as he said, "There's something that you need. Why didn't you ask me first?" Chapter 88. I'm Not a Mage. William Walton pulled a long face. This woman had been flirting with him every day, yet she was chatting and laughing with that Nick. Was she purposely angering him? Laura, stuffing food into her mouth, she said, "Because you can't help me with that. I think you just don't want to mess with me. Do you know who I'm looking for a job for?" He was truly angry. "How would I know if you didn't beg me?" "Amy. She hurt you on the company forum today, and you're helping her?" "The reason she harmed me was that she thought that I was the one who posted that photo. Moreover, she suffered a pitiful fate, so I had to help her." William Walton was unhappy. For her, he got someone to expel the woman. However, this heartless person was going to introduce the woman to a job? What kind of heart did she have to do such a thing? What encounter? She did not hide anything and told William Walton about Amy. Her choice was wrong, but her original intention was good. She didn't want to pursue a famous brand and a vain life. She wanted to save her father's life. Although, I don't understand what it's like to have a father and daughter relationship, but I do feel that if I don't give her a hand at this, she will fall deeper and deeper into this hell. After all, it's very easy for people to fall into depravity when they earn money from this business. Then why is it inappropriate to ask me for help in this matter? I know, you will agree to my request, but there are too many rumors about her in the company. Even if she stays at the company, she won't be able to raise her head. Since I want to help her, I should do it well. William Walton raised his eyebrows. Her considerations were quite thoughtful. Seeing that William Walton was no longer angry, she said unhappily, "Do all the men nowadays like to cheat? I heard managers say that not only is Tom's wife beautiful, she also has a good job. But Tom is not satisfied with it and still wants to be with others. Is this a man's basic character?" "You can't say that. Someone like Tom is despicable. He cannot represent all men. But now men have cheated just because they have some money. Too many examples." William Walton smiled. "That's why a good man like me is so rare." "Woman, you have no eyes. I've already come to your door. Are you sure you don't want to take me in?" Then Laura curled her lips. She had seen narcissistic people before, but she had never seen anyone who felt so good about themselves. "I'm not a mage. I don't accept demons." William Walton hissed and gouged her out. She lowered her eyes and laughed heartily. Seeing her smile, William Walton naturally smiled. Indeed, she looked more beautiful when she smiled. After eating, she gave Amy a call. Knowing that she could go to Anderson's group to work, Amy happily thanked her on the phone. "Thank you very much, Laura. Did you know that you saved my entire family?" "When I left the company, I had already thought about it, even if, when I made this decision, I was really scared. Thank you, you saved me, really thank you. And also this afternoon, I posted that photo, I'm sorry." "That's okay, after all, we don't know each other well. Are we even?" "No, I owe you a great favor. One day I will pay it back." Pay? She didn't need it, she only wanted peace right now. The month of work ended just like that. In William Walton's opinion, Laura could not be idle, so at dinner, he invited her to continue working at the company for a while. However, this suggestion was rejected by her. "I don't have much time later because I'm going to take part in the college counselor training." William Walton looked at her and shook his head. "I'm just wondering, what is the point of being a teacher in school? The salary is not high, and you also have a lot of worries. The most important thing is that you don't have the qualifications to teach now." "William Walton, please respect my dream." "Your dream?" Laura's eyes stared up at him. William Walton dotingly smiled as he looked at her. "All right, I respect your dream. You can choose. One more thing," she said, looking at him and helping him with the food. "Say it." "We agreed that I would work at your company for a month and cook for you for a month. Now, she said, hesitating. William Walton put down his fork. So, you cooked so much tonight? Is it a farewell meal? She smiled and nodded. William Walton flattered her. You are an ingrate. Putting down the bowl and forks, she looked at him seriously. William Walton, you are an entrepreneur who keeps his word. Since you have said it, you should do it. Are you asking me to agree or not? What if I still insist on coming here and eating? She said, Laura. Then I can only consider moving. Do you think I won't be able to find you just because you moved? Aren't you underestimating me? I want to say, you're not willing to cause trouble for others, right? William Walton looked at the lady in front of him. She had a harmless smile on her face as she continued. Besides, I'm going to train. I will be very busy. I don't want to waste all my limited time in the kitchen. He could accept her words, but he just felt unhappy in his heart. Then we have decided that every weekend, you have to eat with me. Why? She frowned. Because I'm afraid that if you don't see me after so long, you'll forget about my existence. I want to show you that I exist, so this matter is decided. She was about to say something else, but he happily started to eat. She pursed her lips. Forget it, I'll just once a week. It didn't seem that difficult. The instructor training was much easier than she had expected. However, she knew clearly in her heart that the pressure of being a teacher wasn't small. She did not forget that her first-year coaching teacher had been angered by his students into depression. To live well, she had resigned. Being a teacher seemed to be easy, but it was complicated. In the days she was away from Walton Group, she felt very happy every day. It seemed like she wasn't suited to work in an office. That oppressive atmosphere made her dislike it from the bottom of her heart. After the training, she was invited to tutor a former schoolgirl in English. By the time she got home, it was already past 7 in the evening. She leisurely returned to the entrance of the building and immediately saw the familiar car. William Walton got out of the carriage, looked at her, and frowned. Why did you return so late? She walked over to him. Why are you here? What? I can't come? No? Last time, didn't you say we'd meet this weekend? His face was cold. Rules are dead, people are alive. I miss you. Chapter 89. William Walton, you suffocated me to death. He paused and looked at Laura. She was surprised. Did he say that he missed her? William Walton walked forward and naturally held her in his embrace. This damnable woman, just what kind of curse did she cast on him? Not seeing her for 2 days, he was scratching his heart to come to see her. However, she was damn ruthless. She hadn't even called him in 2 days. She meant nothing to him, did she? Thinking of this, he hugged her even more tightly. She struggled, but did not make it. Instead, he hugged even tighter as her entire face was forced to lie on the ground in front of his shoulder. She said depressingly, William Walton, you suffocated me to death. William Walton released her. It's fine if you suffocate to death. You have no conscience. Laura frowned. How did I offend you? What do you think? I don't know. I haven't provoked you in the past 2 days. How would I know how I offended you? Then why didn't you provoke me? William Walton's face was somewhat sullen. Are you treating me like a snake or a scorpion? What are you talking about? I didn't provoke you, so I was wrong? That's right. I allowed you to provoke me, but you didn't want to see me, right? Do you know that I've been waiting for you to call me these past 2 days? Laura, thinking about it, she asked, what's the important date for these 2 days? Looking at her innocent appearance. William Walton sighed. Was this woman stupid, or was she playing dumb with him? He was now a little curious as to how Avery Harris had managed to catch up to her back then. Why aren't you saying anything? She looked at him in confusion and asked, what's the date of these 2 days? William Walton was speechless. Forget it. Forget it. It's better if you don't say anything. The more you talk, the angrier I get. He turned and walked back to her house. She hurried to catch up with him and held out her hand to block his path. William Walton, I just ate at the student's house. I won't cook tonight. Also, I'm tired right now, so I'm going home to sleep. So? He raised his eyebrows. You're not letting me in? She rolled her eyes. The meaning behind this was very obvious. Wasn't it better to immediately say, then you rest early, I'll leave first? When you see someone with a bit of insight, he was born to be a freak. She couldn't use normal people's brain circuits to consider his thoughts. You clearly understand it. Why do you pretend not to understand it? If you ask, will I change my mind and let you in? I don't have the spirit to entertain you. I'm very sleepy. William Walton glared at her, and after a moment, he snorted and turned to leave. He had thrown his face away, but she didn't seem to care. Since that was the case, why would he stay here? He was asking for trouble. His car door closed and he drove away. Laura froze on the spot. He's angry? She lifted her right hand to her lips and nibbled at her thumb. Did she say the wrong thing? Regardless, she was going to die from exhaustion. She didn't sleep until 1:30 last night. She got up at 5 this morning. She had wanted to sleep for a while at noon, but then another bunch of things happened in the course. Until now, she really couldn't take it anymore. She slowly climbed up the stairs, lay down on the bed, and slept soundly after entering the room. Originally, she thought that matters with William Walton could be considered as over. At noon on the second day, Benjamin Walton came to the training room to find her. When he saw her, he excitedly pulled her and said, Laura, quickly help me. Laura baffled, she asked, What's wrong with you? I wanted to stay here to study bachelor, but William disagreed. He signed up for a foreign university behind my back and even said that I was not allowed to make decisions on this thing. I'm already an adult. How can he interfere in my business? Benjamin Walton said unhappily. Isn't that a little too arbitrary? Laura said, although I sympathize with you, I'm afraid I can't help you with this matter. You can, Laura. If you help me act coquettishly with William, it will work. Her face turned red. I don't know how to talk about it. But he will not listen to me either. He is William Walton after all, and I think that you should go and find Jack regarding this matter. Do you think I've never gone to look for him? Jack said I should listen to William. He even said a lot of things to persuade me that going abroad would be better than studying at home. If that's the case, she looked at him. If you're looking for me, then I don't have any other choice. Second master and third master are doing this for your good if I intervene. Wouldn't that ruin your future? Why, you said the same thing? Who says that studying abroad is much better? Is it made of gold? I didn't mean that. I just felt that Jack and William probably thought that learning in foreign countries would be better. Benjamin Walton frowned. Laura, at this time, you can't help them speak up. If you don't help me, I really will be sent away. I don't want to leave. I wanted to have a good talk with William last night, but I waited for him to come back in the middle of the night and he got mad at me for no reason and chased me away. I went to find him this morning and got scolded again. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's like an exploding lion, and he's not only targeting me, but when I went to look for him at the company today, I even saw him training his people. If you say it like that, I'm even more afraid to go. My little life is also very important. I find that in front of you, William is not like a tiger, but rather like a cat. You just have to scratch him and say something to him when he is happy. I really can't. She shook her head firmly. Benjamin Walton's face was full of dejection. Laura, if you still won't help me, then I can only abandon my studies. At worst, I won't even go to university. I definitely won't go abroad anyways. He sighed and turned to go. When she saw him like this, she already had a headache. If her students were like this, she didn't even dare to think about it. Benjamin Walton walked a few steps, then turned his head and said, If there came a day when I failed to become a university student and died from depression, would you regret not helping me today? Depressed to death. Her heart tightened as she hurriedly said, You must be trying to scare me. Laura, I am truly depressed. So depressed that I'm about to go crazy. Laura walked towards him. Where is William right now? In the company? You want to help me? I can only try my best to help you persuade him. As for whether it will succeed or not, that is not something that I can do anything about. Laura, you are great. Benjamin Walton hugged her excitedly and jumped a few times. Laura patted him on the shoulder. Okay, you are not a child. Hurry up and call your third bro. Invite him to come out. Chapter 90. Laura said, She misses you. Why did you come out? I'll take you to the company. I can't, she said, shaking her head. I work over there. It's not good to be seen. Then I'll call William. He took out his phone and called William Walton. A cold voice came from the other end of the phone. What are you doing? William, let's have lunch together. I'm not free. William, don't hang up. It's not that I'm inviting you, it's that Laura is asking you. Laura said she misses you. Laura on the side patted him, wanting to snatch the phone away. But Benjamin Walton went to the side to prevent her from touching his phone. This brat, he was looking for beating. William Walton, who was on the other side of the phone, remained silent for a good 10 seconds, then said, Let her call me herself. After he finished speaking, he directly hung up the phone. Benjamin Walton looked at her warmly. Laura, quick, William wants you to call him. Why? William is just like that, very pretentious. Hurry up. Laura took out her phone and called William Walton. William Walton stared at the caller ID. He curled his lips and the expression on his face became a lot more relaxed. The few people who were being reprimanded across the desk all accompanied the CEO to listen to the ringtone. He only proudly picked up the phone when the ringtone was about to end. No one spoke, and she tensed up. About that. William Walton, have you eaten? Nope. Do you want to eat together? William Walton remained silent. He was intentionally asking her to call him, to play with her, right? Don't you have time? Since you have kindly invited me, I will reluctantly accept your invitation. This man was truly shameless. Then I'll get Benjamin to tell you the address. After hanging up, William Walton looked at the three people opposite him, and his tone became a bit more relaxed. Did you all remember what I just said? Remember. If you remember, why don't you hurry up and leave, waiting for me to treat you to lunch? The three of them hurriedly said, Mr. Walton, we'll be leaving now. After they left, William Walton had a smile on his face as he went downstairs and drove away. When he arrived at the dining hall, Benjamin Walton was sitting opposite to him. The two were chatting about something unknown, but they gouged out Benjamin Walton with their warm gazes. William Walton walked over. Benjamin Walton immediately stood up and helped his brother pull the chair away. William, when did you just arrive? Laura is already hungry from waiting. She looked at William Walton, who did not even glance at her. What do you want to eat? William Walton was about to say something when Benjamin Walton clapped his hands together. Ah, I forgot. I still have some matters to attend to today. William, Laura, I won't be accompanying you two for lunch today. After he finished speaking, he stood up and winked at her, then quickly left. Laura was stunned. This brat had left her behind just like that? The waiter brought the menu. William Walton opened it and asked, "What do you want to eat?" "I don't mind. You order first," William Walton ordered, and after the waiter left, he put down the menu, turned his head, and looked at her. She tensed up a bit. "Why? What's wrong? Before you convincing me about Benjamin's matter, do you have something you want to say to me?" She was surprised. "How did you know I was going to convince you?" "Once Benjamin called me and said you want to see me. I knew it. These 2 days, he's been running around like a headless fly trying to get someone to talk to me, but no one's got the guts to care about him. I think you like to go against me, don't you?" She blushed, knowing that this was not a good job. However, before she could even open her mouth, she was already being humiliated. She scratched her forehead. "About that? Oh my God. This was too embarrassing. Why are you stuttering? Didn't you talk so sharply when you threw me out last night?" William Walton lifted his teacup and took a sip. She looked at him. "The reason you agreed to come out today was to mock me, right?" William Walton raised his eyebrows. "You are not stupid." William Walton. Staring at him, she knew that he had ill intentions. "With your attitude, aren't you afraid that Benjamin's matter might become unfounded?" "Don't say it like you can promise not to send him to go abroad if my attitude is good." She snorted and picked up her cup as well, drinking her tea. "Otherwise, why do you think I would come out and fall in your beautiful woman trap, even though I know what your goal is?" Cough. Hearing the words, beautiful woman trap. She choked on her tea. As she coughed, she turned to look at William Walton, her eyes filled with disbelief. William Walton raised his hand and patted her back. "Drink slowly." The two of them were very close. She shrank back a little. "William Walton, I'm not here to play tricks on you. I came to convince you." Other people's logic is better than yours. Why should I listen to you? If it's according to what you said, then you know everything. Why did you still come out?" He retracted the hand that was slapping her back, crossed his legs, and said in a clear voice, "I just said it. It's because I was tricked by you." She blushed. This man always did this. She didn't know whether it was true or false. Was teasing her so fun? "Now tell me, let me hear what you're going to say for that brat. Are you sure you don't want him to stay in the country to study at university?" "Right. Why?" "I want him to study business management, and this major can be taught better abroad. However, I feel that true talents do not necessarily have to come back from abroad. Some people's excellence is ingrained in their bones. His future is not something an ordinary person can compare to. If one day he stands at a high position, and he is a leader who graduated from an ordinary university, then his subordinates are all elites. Have you thought about his position before? In school, he can be willful, but in the workplace, this is not something that he can do as he pleases. I don't want my younger brother to be criticized behind everyone's back, saying that he relied on his background to rise to the top." His words instantly caused her to be speechless. After all, it made perfect sense. At that moment, a waiter came to serve the dishes. After the waiter left, she picked up her forks, lowered her head, and began to eat with a depressed expression. William Walton looked at her. "What else do you want to say?" She looked at him. "I can't be responsible for his future, so that I don't have the right opun someone who cares about him." Hearing her words, William Walton smiled. This woman was always so clear. This was what he admired the most.